What is up? What is up, everyone? Can I give yourself a round of applause for being here? Welcome back to Hi LBC. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you for coming to Hi LBC. This is a live production put on by the LBCA and Cannabis Capitol. Huge thank you to Cannabis Capitol for opening your doors. We appreciate and love you guys so much. Tonight, we're going to be talking about, does high THC percent matter? And I want to introduce my panelists. So let's kick it off at the very end. You want to introduce yourself and tell them what you do?
Hello, how you guys doing? My name is Jereme. I'm the laboratory director at LabPlex, located in Long Beach. Born and raised in Long Beach, and thanks for having me.
Next. My name is Kodie. I'm a cultivator, third generation, at Hey Bud. Yeah.
Nice. I'm glad you guys are both up here. So, you know, I'm going to open it up with this right off the bat. So as industry professionals, what is the current consumer trend? And is there anything wrong with it? You guys are both professionals. You grow it,
Purple
you
weed.
test it. Purple weed?
Purple weed is not more potent.
Why do you think people like purple weed?
I mean, obviously just bag appeal, you know, and it's marketed to the people as something that's greater than green weed. You know,
What do you
I'm
think?
sick of growing ice cream cake.
I think Cody brings up a good point, the bag appeal. I would say THC percentage and strain name is basically the current trend we've been seeing for the past several years.
So purple weed, bag appeal, and the strain name. So those are the three.
THC percentage.
And THC percentage. I was going to jump into it. So how many times would you say, as a consumer, you've gone into a dispensary and heard someone say, what's the highest amount of THC I can get for $40? Or what's the most I can get for $20? How many times have you heard that?
I haven't been in a dispensary for 16 years.
True, you grow it. I'm sorry. I guess, Jereme, that's exactly who that was for.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely occurs. As we know, the consumer is basically shopping based on those two things. They're looking for the highest THC within their price point. Want to get the most amount of weed, lowest price, highest THC.
So why do you think they're asking for high THC?
I think potency with cannabis is a very tricky thing, like a lot of things with cannabis. But obviously, I think people relate it to like alcohol by volume. You know, like the higher percentage alcohol by volume, the more drunk you're going to be. But, you know, and it's kind of this, being drunk is kind of the same for everybody in a sense. But cannabis is different because everybody's, you know, endocannabinoid system and CB1 and CB2 receptors are going to uptake and react differently to cannabis, no matter what the THC percentage is, you know?
So does it matter? Does
No.
THC percentage matter?
No.
Not at all.
I don't think so at all, no. I mean, medical benefits, maybe more, you know, but at the end of the day...
Do you think it correlates to a better high?
There's a lot of things about the cannabis plant that will correlate to a better high. THC is one of the factors, but cannabinoids and flavonoids and everything like that, it also really matters as well.
Jereme, do you want to chime in?
Yeah, certainly. So, I mean, he's right on point with it. THC, it matters as we've all heard of the entourage effect. So, in combination with the other cannabinoids, the flavonoids, terpenoids, like he mentioned, some of these higher potency numbers, these have been marketed to the consumer, and that's why we have this constant influx of misinformation, which is continuing the system.
So we're industry professionals, but can you break down what exactly is the entourage effect? That's a term you threw out. Both of you guys have kind of thrown that out. So can you want to break that down?
Basically, it's just the way that the cannabinoids will react with, their terpenes will react with other compounds of the cannabis plant to make up, you know, the complete hive. And I think that, you know, as with science and as consumers now, we have the opportunity and chances to really find our perfect, like what works best with us.
How would you find out what works best for you?
Trial and error.
Trial and error?
Yes, sir.
Multiple different joints at all at the same time, just
If it
whatever
makes
works?
you feel paranoid, probably don't want to go back to it.
But Jereme, what do you think?
Yeah, trial and error is a good way. With me, when shopping, I would say trust your nose. That's probably
Yes,
the
agreed.
best advice I could give you. So as we mentioned before, THC does not equate to potency. There's a lot that goes into it. That's why we keep mentioning the entourage effect. And so the quality of the flower, basically visual inspection, we're looking at the color of the plant. Is it actually green? Is it brown? It's been sitting on the shelves for over a year. So it's a lot of those things that we have to look at.
Kodie, you're a legacy grower, and you've been growing for a very long time. Just the other day, I saw a bag of flour going at 43% THC. What have you seen? How is the growth of THC percentage from today to when you started? Explain a little bit about that. What would someone find for a THC percentage 8 years
like
ago?
15 to 17. We grew a lot of OGs back then too, so it was like 18.
Was it even tested back then, too?
I mean, there was testing facilities. CannaSafe, eventually came around during the Pop 2 15 days, but not necessarily. There wasn't. We don't have the science we have now.
So then what are some practices? So a lot of people understand it's not about THC. The THC is not going to be the main component to get you high.
Well, half the time it's made up by a lab who got kicked back anyways.
Ooh, you went straight there.
So when I see 53% THC, all I can do is just laugh. If it's a
Agreed.
flower. Or, 31% is like high. In my opinion. 36%, 46%, it's questionable.
Yeah.
Strain depending. I mean, I'm sure there's 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 strains out there. Like we grew the Oreos and it hit really high. And I even asked this RCO, like, are you sure? Like, are you positive? Let me see,
Yeah.
But yeah, when I see that, I can't help but to just laugh. Because you know what's going on. I mean, I think we all do.
So, Jereme, what is going on that Kodie's insinuating?
Maybe not them.
No, not them. I'm just kicking it over to my lab guy.
Yeah, so I'll touch on that. But like you mentioned, over a decade ago, we're seeing THC percentages, high ones were around 20, low 20%. And things have changed since then. People are finding out, seeking out the higher THC plants, crossing them with others. So we are seeing some higher numbers in THC, but like you mentioned, we do get a lot of pressure from growers and manufacturers frequently. We give them their numbers back and they're telling us that they can't sell this. And I feel for them. I mean, it's this whole system that I'm referring to with people being misled about the value of this THC. And so the consumer, they're getting hurt along with the people who are trying to sell their product as well, because they see it has no value if it's a flower that's 17%. And I would just encourage get the terpenes tested and market the terpene value in those plants, because that's where the real therapeutic benefits are coming from.
Would you say there needs to be overall more education on terpenes at the retail level?
Oh yeah, certainly. It's just about trying, I would say first, try all the different products. Get familiar with the different products. Then you have to go out, identify, talking with Steven, he had a great point about journaling your experience with these different cannabis plants, products, whatever you're testing. So you have an experience to tell your consumer. Now, it'll help them help to lead them in the right direction, but we may experience the plant different. But it does help to have some sort of reference point.
On that point, cannabis interacts with everyone differently. It's not like Advil, where you take 2 Advil and I take 2 Advil, we're going to feel the same alleviation. Versus now, if I take a dab, you take a dab, or let's just say we smoke a whole pre-roll, we're going to feel different effects, especially based on the strain. So as the LBCA, we're a big component of journaling. Journal how you feel, how much you took, how much time in between was your actual effect. Taken down. Yeah, what's up? So the next question I want to lead into. What are some recommendations you have as a cultivator, you have as a lab director for budtenders or for general advocates to relay information that it's not about THC? So an example, what's a terpene you would recommend? Or what do you recommend from behind the scenes?
Well, I know myrcene is like one of the most popular and profound terpenes in cannabis. But I mean, we all have our, as the consumers, everyone has their own favorite, I'm sure. I like my limonene and stuff like that, but whatever works best with you. And anytime I smoke like a really peppery sativa or like the lavender linalool, my body don't like it.
It doesn't like it?
No, not at all.
So you don't like Granddaddy Perp?
Nah.
Not yours?
Nah.
Yeah, so to add on to what he's saying, you're only going to get this by trying. And if you're going to the dispensary, these budtenders are going to have to be able to give you the knowledge and about their experiences. So there's another dilemma with this is the doctors are now looking towards cannabis for different solutions, and they can't, legally prescribe any of this. So they're just telling them, hey, go out to a dispensary. And then they're relying on the budtenders to lead them in the right direction. And so with the terpenes, and back to just trusting your nose, you guys are all familiar with potpourri, the scent, and kind of what that potpourri, what does it do for you? It's creating that relaxing feeling. And so the lavender plant, which is commonly found in that, like you mentioned, contains the terpene linalool. And so you'll be looking for, if you're somebody that enjoys that fragrance or that taste, you can look for a plant that has that dominant terpene profile along with others, and it'll lead you in the right direction.
Also, I would like to add like other ways to, high THC or the THC percentage obviously is like the first thing people go to look for when they get something from the dispensary because it's there. But as a cultivator, there's certain things like when I'm looking at our weed or anyone else's weed, there's certain things other than, trichome production is obviously one of them, but not in the sense of how high the THC is. Just, is it frosted? Is it coated? Did the plant get grown to its maximum potential?
What is your process to grow the best quality flower?
Consistency, cleanliness, and a whole lot of passion and love.
Passion and love.
You'll be able to tell if the passion and love is there or if it's Brad's dad trying to sell you a sack at the dispensary. Just look at it.
So we touched on a little bit earlier about there's a small issue with labs and brands dealing with THC percentage. What do you guys believe we can do to hold accountability on these brands and on these labs to not lie or to not cheat or to not deceive people, to deceive consumers? What is something that you recommend? Again, accountability is a question.
Right. I think what we're doing here, educating, having this discussion, this is what's going to help to change the stigma and change this misinformation that's going on. Right now, like I said, I feel for the cultivators. People are feeling like they can't. Their products aren't being accepted at this lower THC, but that doesn't mean that the plant is not as valuable. And so we have to disrupt this THC market. Speaking from a laboratory side, it starts with having a sound quality management program. I believe that's the first one.
Many people may not know this, but do labs have a standardization of testing, that all labs do the exact same thing?
Not exactly. It's a goal, and there's many different ways to reach that goal. There are steps that you have to show and prove that the analysis works, that it's consistent and accurate.
Is it easy to cheat?
It is easy to cheat. I would say that a laboratory like mine, we're built on integrity and transparency. We welcome everyone to come into our doors, look at the data. I'll sit down with you and give you a one-on-one lesson, show you the entire process of how we extract your sample and process it. So yeah, that's what I'm about.
Kodie, how would you recommend people shopping for cannabis?
I mean, the one thing you really can do is shop around until you find something that's your favorite. But as a cultivator, there's a lot of things I look for. The cure. The cure is the most important part. You could grow the best weed in the world, mess up the cure, and it's trash. So, learn about the cure of cannabis, how it should be 60 and 60 for 14 days. 60 degrees Fahrenheit, 60% humidity, 11 to 14 days will give you what you need out of a cannabis plant. But in the industry, as the industry goes, there's a lot of even reputable brands that I've been to their facilities and I've seen the process. And obviously that's the way everyone wants to do it. But when you industrialize something, now I'm noticing people will push their cannabis out from chop 9 days, dry it as fast as they can, and just get it out to the consumer for, the green federal paper pieces. So you got to be careful. You really do.
As a cultivator, do you feel any pressure to not grow the best weed, but to grow the highest testing weed?
No, because I feel like, as a cultivator, we have our favorites, and I'm not necessarily growing cannabis for myself. I'm growing it for the consumer, so I'm always thinking about the consumer. But if it doesn't pass really everything that I like and am passionate and love about the plant, then I'm not going to put it out there. So why wouldn't I be, comfortable in the fact that I'm giving them, I know some people do, because you see 36%. And what am I going to do when I'm putting out real numbers, 26, 28%, and someone has 36? But at the end of the day, why would I lie? Why? That's not what this plant was put here for. So as long as you stay true to the plant, man, you're good to go.
Do you feel pressured?
Yeah, I feel like the pressure is certainly there. And I mean, if I were to speculate, I would say it's on the grower side too. I would guess that it's maybe not your decision to decide whether this plant goes out for sale or not. And they're just gonna push it. Then I'm gonna get the phone calls all tonight, tomorrow night, through the weekend about why did our flower test at this. I can send over the data, like I said, go through the entire process with you. We participate in the state-regulated proficiency tests that's required. We pass them frequently. We're just a lab that's built on integrity. And I'm gonna give you the numbers that it is. Like I said, I do feel sympathetic to the fact that you're not able to sell it, but a lot of that pressure is coming my way to do something about it. And yes, I'll run your flower sample 10, 15 times, even though that's costing me extra money. But I'm gonna do that to show you that we do care and we're putting the time and effort to give you these accurate numbers. And so instead of that 26 or that 28%, when you get that 22% and that maybe changes the price point you're able to sell it at, then you're no longer gonna test with us and you're gonna go test with that other lab who the owner has a great relationship with, is gonna have a talk with them, and the numbers are gonna make sense.
So, at the end of the day, I don't think that cannabis should be priced based off its THC percentage. You can have the driest, dustiest, high testing cannabis versus something that's lower that's gonna have flavor and a good feeling and a good time behind it, I don't know if you guys have ever been to Colorado, but it's kind of terrible. It's kind of like that's how everything's dry and high THC. But how does that compete against something that everything's there? All the points or boxes are checked. So I don't think that I don't take pressure off people like him if we're not competing in that space of high THC.
And I don't want anyone to think that we're just saying everyone's lying and that there's no way to get it there. Can you, as can you share some knowledge on some nutrients that could possibly help increase THC percentage? But again, we all know that percentage does not correlate to being more potent.
Nutrients won't necessarily do it for you. It's more, good nutrients also help, but happy start, happy finish. If you can keep this plant healthy from a rooted clone all the way until its dying days, that's basically you're bringing out the maximum potential of the plant. You're keeping pythium and root rot and fusarium and all the diseases away that a cannabis plant does get if you're don't have a clean environment or you're overwatering or anything like that. So happy start, happy finish. That's going to give you the best, highest THC. Obviously with great nutrients and a little bit of love, it could take you a long way.
Right. I would say what's not thought of as well during the curing or drying process. The flower, it depends on how it's being handled. How delicate the plant is. Those trichomes are getting destroyed. Every time somebody else is going through the bag, looking at it, hey, smell this, but check this out. It's going through multiple different hands, whether it's being distributed. So that's all different points of degradation. And then along with that, the moisture content plays a part directly into the THC percentage calculation. And so depending on how your flower comes in and your storage conditions, that moisture content does play a factor in that percentage.
Agreed. Is that often a scapegoat?
It's something I analyze each step of the process as much as they'll fill me in on what they have going on. And we could identify possible sources of degradation or error in the process.
Perfect. I want to open this up. I want to open up for 3 questions from the crowd. If anyone has anything about THC or for our cultivator or our lab director. If not, I want to say thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. I want to say thank you to everyone because this is a safe space. Okay, I think I see a hand. Yeah. Yeah, let's give you the mic. What's up, Janice? Say hi to Janice for everyone, or say hi to Janice.
Hey guys, thanks for being here. I was wondering, because you guys are in it, and you probably are really annoyed by the THC question. So what kind of categories would you rather see on a jar of cannabis to measure the value of it, or however you would describe that?
Definitely a breakdown of terpenes. I think that would be amazing.
Can you say a brand, if you know one?
Hey, bud. Duh. It's the only brand.
There was a brand here with the vapes. It was next to the Cosmic Cloud. How they have their marketing, that's a great way to market. You could include other information as well as the THC percentages like that. The thing with THC is just because it's there in a higher percentage, it doesn't even mean that your body would be able to use that.
Yeah.
We're talking about bioavailability right now. And so all of that THC may not be able to pass into the blood-brain barrier. And so, and there are studies out there which show at a certain THC percentage, we have that bell curve effect.
You don't even feel it anymore at that point, basically.
Basically.
Yeah.
The University of Colorado did a study, I think you could Google it maybe, about they had some people take like concentrates and some people smoked 15 to 18% flower. And even though the people that smoked the concentrates, they had more THC in their bloodstream, both people after the tests were done were basically the same high,
Yeah, they reported the same high, and when tested for impairment, they performed the same way in the test as well.
Very cool. Thank you.
Yeah, one more? No. Yeah, no. It's super cloudy in here, y'all. Super. Well, cool. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Cannabis Capitol. Thank you, Kodie. Thank you, Jereme. Thank you, the LBCA. And thank you all. I appreciate it. We love you. Every third Friday we'll be here. And remember, this is a safe place. And we all say THC doesn't matter. No, I'm just kidding. Have a good night, everyone.